Hello, I'm Mark.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we're going to talk about the U.S.'s first lithium refinery. But before we do, let's roll that title.
You mean to
Hey,
tell
everyone.
me? Oh,
Thanks so much for joining us today. I wanted to talk a little bit about this article that came out in Teslarati recently this week. And that has something to do with this new Tesla launching its first large-scale lithium refinery. Now, of course, there are other lithium refineries out there, but they are on a smaller scale. This one is, designed, of course, to help Tesla with the lithium that's go into its battery cells. And they need quite a volume of lithium in order to do that. And it's a couple of new processing, status. Like they've got new processes underway to speed the lithium refinement. And like Tesla does with many of its suppliers, it's kind of pushing the industry in new directions because they're taking new ways to do things where the old guard is just doing what they've always done. They may increase in scale, but Tesla's looking at every little part of the lithium refinery puzzle, and they're making adjustments to it, kind of like they did with the 4680 and what they did with that battery over the 2170 or the 18650. So these are things that Tesla gets involved with when they see that there is the possibility of changing the playing field based on new processes and new ways of handling things. It may actually open up the process to reduce costs, which of course they're all about, any way that they can do that. So this particular plant, which we saw the introduction of about a year ago, they did an introduction of this basically an archway is how they opened this, the turning of the dirt with the golden shovels or the silver shovels, wherever they were.
They're silver shovels, weren't they?
Yeah. So there is an actually, let's just go to the article and we can share it here, and you can see the original archway that they opened up, and now behind it, of course, the construction cranes are all there, and you've got this infrastructure all built behind them as this plant officially is opened and starts to produce some battery grade lithium this year.
There we go.
And how much can we expect? Well, upon reaching volume production, they expect to produce about 50 gigawatt hours of battery grade lithium annually. So the odds, they have lofty goals, and of course, as Tesla has done in the past, what they're doing is they certainly will start at a certain goal, and they will move from that point based on the iteration and how well things are going. And if they have to make changes or modifications along the way, they will do so. We definitely saw when Tesla opened up the 4680 builds, they did not get to where they wanted to be in the time frame that they expected to be. And they had to backtrack and make different changes and modifications along the way in order to get that process to the point where they expected costs would be and timing would be. And that did take them extra time. And I know that when they're now looking at lithium refinery, I'm not sure if it's any worse than what happened with the 4680, if it's an easier change for them or not. But I can guarantee you that they have certain goals laid out, and they will attempt to hit those goals in the time frame they've had. And if they don't, they just recalculate and come at it at a different way. And they may lose some time in doing it, but they're still trying to achieve the goals that they laid out in paper, which would make it more efficient, cheaper, or faster to build, or all three.
Right. I really like the idea that they're going to try some experimentation. They're not going to just do things the way everybody else has done it. And then that moves the entire industry forward, which you might be thinking, well, wouldn't they want to keep that proprietary and not let the whole world know how they're doing it? And it's exactly the opposite. They're still one of the largest battery purchasers out there, even though they have their own battery factories. So if they can come up with some way to refine this more efficiently, cheaper, faster, and the whole industry advances, that's good news for every megapack, every car, every power wall. So yeah, they are going to try some things, and I'm sure that they are going to.
Yeah, it's something that they do over and over again. Like I remember again looking at the 4680 on battery day, all the pieces of the puzzle they laid out in front of us in order to make that battery faster, cheaper, more efficient, more energy dense. All those things, right from its inception, its size, how it was put together, what machinery was used to put it together, and what the process was to put it together. All those things had to be affected to make that battery cheaper, more efficient. And all of them together would allow them to have so much gain that they could actually build it, put it inside a pickup truck, and have that vehicle drive around using that battery pack that wouldn't be too excessive, wouldn't be too large, and still guarantee you that 300 plus miles of range that everyone is used to at this point for any Tesla vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a question of this particular plant. How many of those they didn't, of course, go into the details that they did with the 4680 battery.
Probably a good move.
But I wonder if it's that intense, if there are that many different changes, and I can imagine it's not just one or two changes. There are a few of them. But this particular plant in Texas that they opened, built from scratch, they've actually got a rail spur into it because this plant is going to be receiving that much raw material to make into lithium that, of course, they need the ability to receive the raw lithium in large quantities in order to, first of all, refine it, which makes it smaller, and then get it into a usable format. But this is nothing new for Tesla. I think it started with maybe seats in the beginning, where they realized that they couldn't rely upon the supplier network out there that existed in order to get them what they needed at the cost that they needed in order to be successful. So they decided to strike it out on their own, and that was maybe one of the first items that they started this hand in hand with suppliers to push them, to encourage them to move at a different pace and allow them to benefit from whatever advancements that Tesla could find. Again, I don't think suppliers should be that worried because with Tesla buying batteries, it's not like Tesla has the ability to be the largest battery maker in the world. They're not going to be able to scale that big with the amount of cars that they keep producing every year. They are still asking all the other battery suppliers to sell us what you've got on all your different formats. We're finding different ways of putting them into our vehicles. There's all sorts of availability that we need, and I have a feeling that lithium refining might be the same, that they're still buying. It's just that, as Patrick mentioned, they're now becoming the inventors of new ways to actually handle the problem, maybe to modify how you dry it or how you roll it, or there are all these different processes that they can play with and see what makes sense to speed the process or make it cheaper.
Yeah, or if it needs drying at all. They talked about a novel way to extract the lithium from the ore. That we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
I say ore, but just clay.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was talk about them just going to like a Nevada site, and all they were going to do was scoop bucketfuls of it out of the earth, pour it into something, almost do a sifting shake, and dump those buckets right back into the earth where they got it from, minus the raw lithium.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what you have to do, is try new things. And there's no reason to say that just because how it's always been done is the only way to do it. Experiment.
Exactly. And if it doesn't work, you already know how you used to do it. Just do that.
Right.
Another thing of interest about this particular plant is the actual drawing that they had. Let's just share that again. It is interesting that a lot of the infrastructure of the plant is outside of a building.
Oh.
They are like separate little buildings. If you look real closely here, for example, there's a long tube that's basically a roller of sorts, maybe a kiln that's spinning, heating. Raw goes in on one side and refined comes out on the other. And then it moves to these different stages along this production line. But you'll notice that here in Texas, maybe it's more efficient to have it, these stages outside, exposed to the weather. Maybe it helps with cooling. Maybe it doesn't. But it is interesting that a lot of this infrastructure of these lines seems to be in separate little buildings along an actual line. It looks like there's 2 lines in this particular mock or rendering. And the real photos of this actually back this up. That there's a lot of outside type stations along the way.
So could this be like we saw with SpaceX at Boca Chica's, what do they call it? They renamed the town. Starbase. Is this like we saw at Starbase where it starts out where they're not entirely sure what they're going to use and what they need, so they kind of have it loosely arranged, and then as they firm it up, they build these massive buildings quickly?
Maybe that might actually be it.
Sprung structures for the win.
Yeah, exactly, because that gives them that versatility to be able to move things around rapidly. As opposed if you're building something that's more permanent, sometimes that can become a stranded asset.
Yeah, especially if it locks you into a certain way and you really can't use it.
Yeah,
like Fremont.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's not how they would do it if they were starting from scratch, which is why Shanghai and Berlin are completely different.
That's right.
Yeah. And that comes with that experience. So you're testing things out, you're trying things, you're modifying things. And the next time that you have to build that particular line or that particular process, you're making those changes in the structure it's housed in because typically what works best. And if there are some variants that have to be rolled into it, then you build those particular variants so it can change every once in a while. But when it comes to a factory that you purchase from somebody else, that ship has sailed. You get what you get, and that's it. Yeah. So this is interesting news, and again, just about under a year, this plant has started to refine some of the materials that can be used. So, hats off to them. Came pretty quick. I remember the opening ceremony with the silver shovels. The Cybertruck was out there, and they were digging some holes to signify the start of construction. And now, about a year later, here they are starting to produce.
Very cool.
Very cool indeed. With that, I think we will wrap it up. Casey, any shout outs this evening?
Yeah, so
sounds like Moto's got a shout out or two.
Yeah. Say, Moto?
I made ice cream.
You made ice cream?
Shout out to ice cream and my mom's.
So on Wednesday, catch us here live, same time, same place for the Tesla Live show live, and we'll see you there. Hopefully, chat it up in the live comments or later on in the comments for the video on demand.
Very good.
I made my papa bar.
Your backpack?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick, any shout outs?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. We'll go in front of the mic instead of behind it, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching. If you haven't already, press that thumbs up. Give us a subscribe if you haven't, and we will appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time and find out what's happening in Tesla life.